Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode in the timristo.com vlog video series. Today we're talking faith and specifically devotions. I got a question for you. What are you doing to maintain a routine and healthy devotional life? What are you doing? Are you doing a daily devotional booklet of some kind? Are you reading through the Bible in a year? Are you listening to an audio devotional podcast or watching a video devotional podcast? Do you routinely watch sermons from pastors online? What is it you're doing to help yourself stay embedded in God's Word on a daily or weekly basis? That's a question I've asked myself often, and I struggle with trying to maintain a regular and healthy devotional life. It's a constant challenge for me. Maybe it is for you too. So about a year ago, I decided I needed to challenge myself and also invited my two teenage boys to a devotional challenge. So what did that look like? What did we do? What were the end results? How did it unfold over the year? And did it help improve our spiritual lives? Well, I'll tell you all about it, along with maybe a few tips and hints and tricks that can help you in your devotional life as well on the other side. Thank you all so much for watching. This is the second episode in my vlog video series. I want to take a quick moment and thank everybody that watched, liked, subscribed, commented to my first episode. And I'm very grateful for everybody that took time to watch and invest their time in what I'm doing here. And I'll address some of the comments and some of my ideas that came out in that first video and how people replied to that at the end of this video. First of all, I do need to also mention that my voice is a little rough. It's cedar fever season here again in Central Texas, but we're going to forge ahead no matter what. We're talking faith and devotional life today. If you're like me, it's probably challenging to maintain a regular devotional life, right? Life gets busy. Work gets crazy. Personal life pulls you in all sorts of different directions. Kids can pull you in all sorts of different directions. It's tough to maintain a regular devotional life. But also, if you're like me, you want to really strive to do that. Hey, today's world is crazy, right? There's division all over the place, even in families that you wouldn't expect. There's a lot of craziness going on, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? You're kind of left wondering, what's next, God? What's going on? You know, there's politics in the world. There's violence. There's all sorts of craziness going on. It seems to just be escalating by the day. Staying embedded in God's Word is so important, now perhaps more than ever before. When you take your eyes off the prize, Christ, it's so easy to get sidetracked by things in life, to get pulled away on emotional things, to get pulled away into things that really don't matter, and to lose your focus on what matters the most. So having a clear, regular, committed devotional life, concentrating on God's Word every day or at least every week is so important. Daily is best, of course. But trying to take 5 minutes a day even can be crazy to find time. When my work gets busy, so often the first thing to go out the window is that devotion. It's 5 minutes, and yet that's the thing that often gets sacrificed. It shouldn't. It should always be there every day. As I record this video, we are in the last week of 2021 and getting ready to face a whole new year with 2022. 1 year ago, Christmas of 2020, I decided to challenge myself and my two sons to a devotional challenge. So I gifted them and myself a devotion booklet last Christmas called A Shelter from the Storm. I got this off of Amazon. I kind of searched for a while to find one that I thought would be right for all three of us, and gave us each this one. And I wrote a little letter along with it when I gave it to my boys and said, will you come along with me on this journey of a devotional challenge throughout 2021? And the idea was that we would read the devotions daily or as often as we could. And each month, once a month, we would share what our favorite devotion was from the past month. And we did that via a text chain or text chat that we did between the three of us. And so the bottom line goal was we had to at least communicate 12 times a year about this devotion. We had to at least crack the book open 12 times a year, right? A bare minimum, and read 12 devotions at the very least. Hopefully more than that, of course, but that had to be the bare minimum. And share about which one touched us the most. Now here we are, Christmas 2021, 1 year later. You may ask, well, how did that go? Let me start by telling you a little bit about this specific devotional booklet here and why I picked it. Again, I got this off Amazon. It's by Christian Art Publishers. You probably can't see it, but CA there on the spine. Christian Art Publishers. This was published in 2010, I believe. Yes, 2010. Christian Art Publishers. I picked it because the format is, it's kind of traditional devotional format, title, verse, and then a short devotional. But what I really liked about these in particular was, number one, the title drew me in, A Shelter from the Storm. As we entered 2021, second year of the pandemic, crazy politics at the beginning of the year, crazy election, all sorts of things going on. It just felt like the storms of life were continuing to go and that this was going to be a stormy year. As it turned out, it was, in more ways than one. A Shelter from the Storm just seemed a very appropriate title. This book is also divided into monthly themes. So it has the overarching theme of Shelter from the Storm, but then it's also got each month, like January was Hope and Renewal. So then all the January devotions were designed around this theme of hope and renewal and focused on that. February was God's providence, and so on and so forth. So each month picked a different theme and focused on that. So I liked how you had specific themes that changed monthly, but you could get a little depth in the month of that theme, but then they also changed, throughout the year. So you had some variety that way. Also, the devotionals were not really reflective of Bible stories. Had the Bible verses, of course, and the devotional itself tied into the verse and presented a very biblical, spiritual theme, but it wasn't Bible stories, which I know you may say, well, why are you doing a Bible devotional, but you don't have Bible stories? Ironically, I want something that was more life application specific rather than Bible stories. Why? Well, for this first go-around, and again, for the way things have been in life, it's nice to have something life application specific. Also, my boys have grown up in the church from the very beginning. I have as well. So rehashing the Bible stories right off the bat was not something I necessarily wanted to do. They know them pretty well. I know them pretty well. Not that we can't know them better, of course, but just to start out with this year, I wanted something that was very life applicable. Specific. And so these themes and these topics just seem to be things that kind of were motivational, encouraging, and kind of helps through the storms of life, right? So it seemed to be a really good first start devotional for us. So that's why I picked that. Okay, enough about that. How did it go? It actually went really well. We start out with the intent of trying to text about the 15th of every month. And I usually led off and invited the boys to share what was your favorite devotional. Usually I'd lead off. Sometimes I would just open it up and one of the other boys would lead off with their favorite devotional. But it worked really, really well. We all got to share things. Usually everybody had a different devotion selection every month. But we kept it up all year. And sometimes it was shorter. If we got, month or the week that we chose to do this or day we chose to do it was a little busier. Sometimes our responses would be shorter. But other times we got a lot more depth. But I'm so impressed with the spiritual insight that both of my boys shared. It impacted my spiritual growth and spiritual life too by seeing their responses. They helped me grow in my faith. And in turn, I hope my responses help them grow in their faith too. But we kept it up all year. Did we all do more than 12 times a year? Yes, I'm sure we did. How many did we do? I don't know. We weren't really measuring so much. I didn't, pressure the boys or myself to keep count or keep track of that. That really wasn't the purpose of this first year. First year was to start thinking about it and becoming more aware of building a regular devotional life. There were challenges, obviously. Sometimes I'd have to move the week that we were going to share. It wasn't always the 15th. Sometimes it got bumped later. Sometimes it got bumped earlier in the month. Sometimes even got bumped into the next month, and we'd have two up against each other a little bit. But I tried to adjust if my work schedule was crazy, if I was getting ready to go on a trip, and travel. I wouldn't do it during that time because then I wouldn't be focused or responsive. If the boys had, finals week or test week at school, I didn't, do it then. So we'd adjust and adapt to life as need be and try and find a time that was, a little more comfortable. Sometimes on weekends seemed to work better, but occasionally during the week too. And we would just launch off and share. And sometimes one of my older son would share first, and other times my younger son would. Other times I would lead off. But it proved to be something that we stuck with the whole time. And again, the comments were really good. So did I see spiritual growth in myself? Yes. I saw more of an intentionality too towards doing devotions and wanting to do it. The comments from my boys were oftentimes amazing and very insightful and spiritually mature. I did see them grow just in their responses too, and in the way that they approached these devotions too. I, of course, didn't see them as they did their devotions. This was all personal. We all did it on our own time in our own spaces. And I kind of like that. I like that it remained something that was personal for each of us. But I think they really took some time. I'm sure sometimes they rushed through it. Sometimes they flipped through and picked one out as quickly as they could. But I know other times that they invested some time to really look at and respond to the devotional that they selected to do. So here we are 1 year later. We just wrapped up Christmas 2021. And I wanted to kind of commemorate this whole devotional challenge. So I used a place called Mimeo Photos, which is kind of a third-party app or program that's part of Apple Photos, for those of you that are Apple fans, on my laptop, which allows you to print books, calendars, Christmas cards, prints, all sorts of things. Kind of like Shutterfly approach. But this is through Apple. And I put together a Shelter from the Storm Devotional Chat 2021 book that I gave to both the boys and myself as kind of a way to commemorate the whole experience. I thought this was something tangible that they could come away with to look back at what our first devotional challenge was like. And what I did is I took all of our chats and from throughout the year and put them into the book. With our pictures next to what our text chat was, and all our comments copied along with dates and times and stuff when we did them. I also included the lighthouse photos, since the Shelter from the Storm devotional book used lighthouse photos throughout it as part of its theme too. Obviously, with the Shelter from the Storm concept, lighthouse is great visual imagery. So I included a bunch of royalty-free photos in with that too, and just carried it all along with the theme for each month at the top, and then all our devotional chat. So put all the chat together in this one booklet so that we could look back on that and always kind of remember what it was like and review the chat and see what growth we had. Also, at the back, so a way to commemorate that, I put a list of all our favorite devotions. Let's see if you can see it here, that we had each picked every month. So, January, there's all our selections, February, so on and so forth. So we can always look back, as long as we hang on to the original, devotional book, we can always look back and see which day and devotion we picked, the theme verse, and review it again, see why that was maybe special for us. So that's all put in here too. Also, this kind of became a little bit more than just a devotional chat booklet. I started to include some additional elements of our spiritual life in the booklet as well. About the middle of the year, in July, one of my boys, I think my oldest, mentioned about how, he said, it reminds me of devotions and praying and keeping habits like that in your everyday life to help you stay focused and let Him, Jesus, into your life. Well, that just proved a nice springboard to start talking about not only daily devotions, but daily prayer. And so from July on, we were a little rocky with it, but we tried to remember to ask each other, too, how we could pray for each other that month, too. If there's something specific that we need to pray for one another, that we would mention that, and then we could go off and pray for each other in that way. But that also opened the door for me to share a little bit about their grandfather, my father, who passed away in 2019, but whose devotional life was very, very important. He was a pastor all his life, and devotions was a regular routine part of his life, as well as my mom's, too. And so this photo here I included has him doing his devotional one day when he was living in the last couple of years of his life. And you can see here he's got Our Daily Bread, which is a devotional booklet, and underneath that is Portals of Prayer, which is a Lutheran devotional booklet that he loved to go back and forth between the two of those. But I kind of introduced that into our text chat that month, and also brought up the fact that some of the prayers that he did, that he loved so much, were torn out of the back pages of a Portals of Prayer, or several Portals of Prayer. They have the weekly morning and evening prayers, and he had a set of these that he kept that he loved to do so much. There was his favorites, I guess you could say. And my mom gave me this set after he passed away, and I've been using them since then. And I thought, how could I pass these on to my boys without, I can't give them this exact stack. I love it because I've been able to hold the very pages that my dad held and pray the prayers that he prayed. And how can I, impart these to them? So when I was putting the book together, I thought, I'm going to make copies of those prayers and include those in here, as I listed here, Grandpa's favorite prayers for my boys. So now they also have copies of his prayers, or his favorite prayers, and can use those as they want as morning and evening prayers. Just a neat way, that the legacy of our parents and our spiritual mentors in our lives and family can have an impact going throughout the generations. So they have the opportunity to use those too, and always remember and pray these prayers and think of Grandpa and think of what that may have meant for him in his spiritual life too. And they can grow in their spiritual life as a result of it. I've enjoyed doing these prayers, and they've been really helpful for me too. I also included a few little tidbits from throughout this year. Me and my boys went to a man night at our church. It's a great night of praise music and a message. So I put things like that have been part of our year spiritual life too. And then at the back included a couple extra things too, again kind of in tribute to my father. Even though he didn't pass away this year, this was an opportunity to pay tribute to him, especially since that prayer element came up earlier in the year. So I put a little tribute page here, and Dad and Grandpa, photos of the boys, each of the boys with Grandpa and me with my dad. And then put here, he lived his life as a spiritual lighthouse for us, pointing the way to Jesus. Since the theme of our year, dealt with the imagery of a lighthouse, I thought it'd be neat to kind of make that connection. Also, I put in, just to help the boys remember, their confirmations and their testimonies that they wrote and read before the church. My oldest was in 2017, my youngest was in 2020. So I didn't want them to forget about that and what their statements of faith mean to them. So this is a way to preserve that. And then also just a couple of churches that have been a part of our life. Christ Lutheran in the past, and now currently we're at Celebration Church in Georgetown. But again, just a way to kind of commemorate and give them something tangible to remember this chat. But I didn't stop there. I thought I was going to take kind of a leap of faith and see, okay, we did this year. It was successful. The boys completed it. They seemed to enjoy it. They seemed touched by the devotional chat booklet that I put together and gave them this year, and decided to give them a new devotional booklet for us to do this year. And I was hoping I wouldn't get groans of, oh no, we're doing it again. But again, I wrote a little letter and said I was so impressed with how they handled themselves this last year. Would you, invited them to go on another devotional challenge this year. And to my pleasant surprise, they were both like, yes, yeah, of course. So the booklet I picked this year, another one I found on Amazon, although I saw it at Barnes & Noble the other day too, is Daily Strength for Men. This one's different from the Shelter from the Storm. Last year I kind of described to you what that one was like in terms of theme and content and stuff. This one's, each devotion actually goes across 2 days. So same topic, same theme and everything, but it goes across 2 days. So you've got 2 days to do a single devotion, which gives a little more depth to it. Also, this is not so, motivational in terms of the content. Like I said, the other one wasn't Bible stories as much. This one has more reference to Bible stories, but also more references to people, real people, whether it's sports figures, entertainment figures, political figures, historical figures, even fictional figures in film and video games and things like that are integrated in as a way to bring out points, biblical points. And of course, as it says here, Daily Strength for Men, this one's much more male specific, men specific, as opposed to the last one we did, which was just more open-ended for anybody. So I think this is going to be an exciting one. I'm looking forward to us, and I think it's going to take things to the next level. So I'll update you at the end of next year, or maybe throughout the year, and let you know how this challenge is going. But I'm excited about this. Having got 1 year under our belt, I think this should be an exciting year to continue another devotional challenge and just step up our game. Finally, what are some takeaways I can give you? Some things that I've learned through this process that I can share with you. These aren't necessarily comprehensive or all-encompassing, but there's a few little nuggets here that I can give you that maybe will help you in your devotional life. First of all, pick a devotional booklet, or again, if you're going to do an audio podcast or read through the Bible, you can do those options as well. But if you're going to pick a booklet, pick one that, has a topic and that looks like it's something that you're going to really want to do, that you're going to want to stick with for a year. Obviously, make sure it's biblically sound more than anything, but also make sure it's something that you're interested in doing. Like I said, Shelter from the Storm fit us this year for 2021 and really, I think, helped keep us motivated. There were a lot of different storms in life, and, nationally and locally and, just in family life, we've got a lot going on. And so this fit us very well and I think was a good one for us. And then as my boys are, maturing and growing up and, I think this one will fit us better for this next year. So again, pick something that you like, even the cover, that draws you in, that makes you want to pick it up and do it every day. So select a good devotional. Second, you got to be intentional about it. That's been my struggle all the time, is I let other things come and take me away. Be intentional. Set aside time to do it. Even if that has to fluctuate day to day or week to week, be sure and just be intentional about setting aside time to do it. That's the only way it's going to happen, is if you say, I am going to do this today. And whether it's at the beginning of the day before things get crazy, or at the end of the day when you have a little quiet, peaceful time before you go to bed, or at a lunch hour, or whatever works, just be intentional about telling yourself, I'm going to make this happen each and every day. And give yourself some room to fail too. There are going to be days and weeks where you just can't make it happen. But always be striving to get back to that. I always told the boys that too. I'd text them in our text chat and ask them, how's your devotional life doing this month or this quarter or what have you? And if you are you getting better at integrating into your daily life or weekly life? If not, it's okay. Allow yourself room to fail, but just keep striving to make that a part of your daily life. That's going to be an ongoing challenge always for their lives. It's been for my life. You just have to keep working at it. Next, challenge yourself. Like we did a challenge. I challenged all of us to a devotional challenge. Maybe put a challenge for yourself or for a group of people, which just kind of ties into my next point. Have an accountability partner, right? I kind of selfishly, I guess you could say, challenged the boys in that I also wanted an accountability partner, as well as I wanted to see them grow and develop in their spiritual life, just as a father wanting to impart things to his sons. But I also kind of selfishly wanted some accountability partners, and I've got built-in ones in my two sons. So I had that going on. So we had the challenge and I had the accountability element. Maybe you do it with a devotional with a spouse. Maybe you do it with a whole family devotional. Maybe, again, your sons or daughters or what have you, or with a group of friends or a men's Bible study group. Whatever works. Create a challenge and then have some accountability partners to help you stay on track, and that will call you up or text you or whatever and say, hey, how are you doing on the devotion? Are you doing it? Or you could do like us. You once a month say, what's your favorite? And that way you have some kind of reminder and somebody checking up on you and helping to make sure you're doing it too. And you're helping them as well. So it's that relationship back and forth, helping each other. Finally, last but not least, pray about it. Just pray about it. If you're struggling to integrate devotional life into your life, just ask for God's help and guidance in getting better at it. Can't do any better than asking for the Lord's guidance, and He will provide the time, the energy, the resources to do it. Not always in our time, but you have to trust in His time. But just keep praying and asking for that guidance for that. So those are some takeaways. Hope that helps. Finally, I'd love to hear what you all are doing. I've shared with you about our devotional challenge and how we've been working to integrate, a devotional life into our lives. And now we're going on to year 2. But what are y'all doing? Like I asked at the beginning, my question at the beginning here, what are y'all doing? I'm sure a lot of y'all are doing different things than what I'm doing. And whether it's just you personally doing a devotional, whether you've got a specific devotional book you like, whether you're doing it with your kids or your whole family is doing a devotional, or you and your spouse, friends, whatever. Tell me about it. And what are you doing? What are you using? It may not be a daily devotional book like this. It may be some other resources like I mentioned at the beginning. But I'd love to hear about what you're doing, how it's working, how it's helping, why you like doing it, and how you and others are responding to it. If you have accountability partners, how is that working out? How does that help you? What are some tips and tricks you have in maintaining a healthy devotional life? I would love to hear about all those ideas. So please feel free to share in the comments. Wherever I post this video, feel free to add your comments, and I'd love to hear about how you're developing and maintaining a healthy devotional life, because it's a challenge. I know it's a challenge to maintain, but tell me about it. Would love to hear more about it. Last but not least, just wanted to cap off a few things from the first video. Again, thank you all so much for watching that, for your comments about my ideas, about things I want to do as creative projects on the side. Without a doubt, the audio podcast of me interviewing some people on different topics and subjects that are of interest to me and that they have specialties in rose to the top as one of the key things people would like to see me do. So that is a sure thing. That will happen. And I'm already taking some steps to start planning it out and figuring out who I'm going to start with interviewing and making plans to move forward with that in the new year. So that will be happening, and I'll be working at that and update you more on that in future videos. Secondly, I also got a reminder about an idea that I had brought up elsewhere, just on Instagram or Facebook, separate from my vlog video, about doing behind-the-scenes videos on some of the projects I'm working on. So as I get time and as I'm able to maybe do, while I'm shooting a project, also do kind of a behind-the-scenes video, I'm going to try and make that happen here in 2022 as well. So I'll find some opportunities when I can make that happen on a project that maybe isn't so tight. I actually started doing that on one of my last videos here I was working on. It was on a tight deadline, but I thought maybe I could do a quick behind-the-scenes video. So I actually started to do one, but I just couldn't pull it off. By the time I got to editing, I had to focus on editing, and I couldn't really go through a step-by-step of how I was doing the editing and how I was going through storytelling elements. But I'll show a few little clips here as I'm talking about it, but the making of video that I kind of started, but we'll have to leave a full completed one for 2022. But that is a project I'd like to jump off and attempt as well, and share with you a little bit of insight into how I shoot projects, how I edit them, my approach to interviews and things like that. Just share some fun little details, and again, get feedback from some of you that are filmmakers, video people, and can share about your insight into what you do and how you do it as well too. All right, y'all, just want to say thanks so much for watching this video. This is only my second video. I know this one may have gotten a little long-winded, but had some good stuff I wanted to share with you. Please continue to hit that like button, the subscribe button, comment if you'd like, and please feel free to share this video as well. I'm thankful for every view, for everyone that watches, but I'd really like to hear comments and feedback. So don't be afraid to put a comment. If you don't want to do that, message me, but would love to get some discussion going on topics. Every video I do with this vlog series is probably going to be a little different. So, last one was an introductory one. I'm talking about ideas I wanted to do for side projects. This one's faith-oriented, about devotionals. My next one's probably going to be about Christian hard rock and heavy metal music. So there's going to be a lot of variety going on. I hope over the course of this vlog series, I hit some topics that interest each and every one of you. But the big thing is interaction. I don't want to just yammer on the whole time. I'd love to have these videos, but then get some feedback from you all and some comments as to what you liked about it, something that interested you. Please feel free to let me know. I guess I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. See you later.